Hi everyone, is Parul here, Parul Begum here. I'm a life and leadership coach. Today is one of our series of interview that we'll be talking about self-confidence. How do we regain our self-confidence? There's lots of reasons that people lose their self-confidence. Therefore, it's really important to look at variety of way of gaining our self-confidence. Today, we're joining our special guest, Linda Attram, who is a mother, also a very successful entrepreneur. Linda will be sharing her experience with us, how to deal with level of confidence. Linda, thank you very much for joining us. It'll be good to hear from you. If you could introduce yourself, who you are and what you do, and then I'll ask you a few more questions.
Thank you, Parul. It's an absolute honor to be here on your show today. Thank you for the invitation. So yes, my name is Linda Attram, and I am the mother of 3 beautiful children, otherwise known as my 3 precious diamonds. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've been in business for over 20 years. So my core business is in property. And I started property as a bit of a side hustle when I was in the corporate world many, many years ago. And so I run a portfolio in the London area, but I also am involved in helping mothers who are in business and mothers who are thinking about getting into business, because I understand the struggles that mothers face when trying to juggle between being a great mum and a great businesswoman at the same time. Because for myself, you know, I went through the whole sort of lack of confidence, low self-esteem, feeling guilty as a mum for spending too much time on my business and not enough time with the children. Yeah. And I recognize that that's not something just for me. It's for, you know, it affects lots of other mothers. So that's why I created Mothers in Business. I'm also a Global Woman Regional Director for Accra in Ghana. So I'm spinning quite a few plates at the moment, and for fun, I like to practice the art of Taekwondo. I'm a 2nd degree black belt martial artist in Taekwondo. So yeah, so that's a bit about me. So thank you once again for having me on your show, Parul.
Thank you, Linda. That's a great, you know, it's talking about a woman, a mother, a Taekwondo expert. Wow, you got so many hats on, and women, you know, we got so many multiple skills, and we juggle through. But we, you know, and I think that's something for women. That's something we are specialized on. That no, I don't think, you know, anybody else can do it, what we do as a woman. You know, being a mom and doing so many tasks, running business or working. So great to have you, Linda. Yeah. So can you please explain to us your experience of living with self-confidence, lack of self-confidence? How was that for you? And when you realized that you needed to change, and the next is what steps or strategy you apply to overcome the situation?
Okay, wow. So that's a lot of questions all in one. So let me just break it down. So the first part was about my experience of lack of self-confidence. Okay, great. So thank you for that question. So if I take you back to my earlier years, my childhood years, I am I'm the youngest of 4 children. There's 4 girls in my family, and there's quite a big gap between me and my last sister. There's 10 years difference. So where when I was born, obviously, you know, there wasn't a lot of I had my sisters to play with, but you know, there was that 10 year plus gap with them. And so I was kind of on my own for quite a while, you know, playing with my dolls in my own little world as you do. But I felt from a very early age that I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and I'm not quite sure why that was, to be quite honest. I was brought up in a household where you know, you do as you're told, and you're respectful to your parents, and you talk when you're spoken to. So I wasn't really an outspoken child, you know. I didn't sort of like go around making a load of noise like my own children do. And I remember I always used to, because we lived in this 3-story house, and I always remember in the evenings after school, I'd perch myself out of the window. Like, we had these sash windows that you push up.
Yeah.
And,
I remember those council flats.
well, it wasn't council, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, I had one of those windows when I was young. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, the windows, I perched myself out the window, and I'd always look at people walking past, and I'd always be thinking, wow, these people, they're just so confident, the way that they walk, and just the way that they carry themselves, the way that they dress. And I could never sort of imagine myself like that, but that was my imaginary world. Every evening I perched myself out the window looking at that. And sometimes one of my sisters, they'd sit next to me, and we'd just have a little chat and look out the window. And this sort of started when I was about, say, 5 or 6. And then I went into school, and again, I was very shy, very quiet, only spoke when I was spoken to, didn't really have a lot of friends. But then when I went into high school, I realized that, other people were a lot different to me. And, there were little cliques of people. Some were popular, some weren't so popular. And there was something in me that said, I really want to break out of this. I want to be more popular. I want to sort of have friends and what have you. But I did it all the wrong way, Parul. I started hanging around with the wrong sorts of people for the wrong sorts of reasons, ended up affecting my education, leaving school with no English or maths qualifications. And, when I left school, I was just I felt like a complete failure, because I wasted those years when I could have got myself into a good education. But having said that, I went to a school that didn't necessarily have a great reputation for people like me. And the expectation was that, you'd leave that school and you certainly wouldn't go to university. That was never on the cards. If you went to college, you were lucky. For a lot of the young boys there, it was a case of they would end up probably, in a life of crime, sort of thing. And, the head teacher that was at the school, he actually ended up being murdered as a result of a gang fight. That was the sort of school that I went to.
That must have been a tough time for you as a teenager.
It was just what I knew, really. It was just kind of what I knew. I didn't know any different. And I grew up thinking that, for somebody of my color, that you go to school, you get a job, and that's it. There's nothing about, further education in terms of university or aspiring to be an entrepreneur. That was for the rich and famous. So I soon realized after I left school that this wasn't the right thing for me. And I had friends that were different race to me, if I put it that way. And I could see that they were, ambitious, and they were doing different things. They were going on regular holidays and stuff like that. Although my mum and dad took us on holidays, but because we're from the Caribbean, in those days, you had to save up a lot of money to take a family of 4 children on holiday. So we didn't go away as often. So I basically had this burning desire in me to want more, because I thought, if other people can do it, surely I can do it. But I just had this real issue with my level of confidence. And when I left school and I re-educated myself, and then I got my English and maths qualifications, and then I decided to go to college, because all of my sisters were in a secretarial background. So I thought, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to follow what everyone else does. And so I went to college and I got my secretarial qualifications, and then I got a job in a high fashion retailer in the administration department. I have no idea, Parul, how I got the job in terms of the interview, because I was an absolute nervous wreck. And I was offered the job, and I was so thankful for that. And what had happened was, when I went to the job, because I had that lack of confidence, I just, if they said, Linda, do this, do that, I'd do it. I do my job. And then when it came to break or lunchtime, I was like, oh my goodness, what happens here? Because nobody's giving me any direction. This means I have to go out there and I have to sit with somebody or talk to somebody and be social. And I just didn't feel that I was confident enough to have those skills. So I basically just shied away from it. because it just petrified me, the thought of having to have a conversation with somebody, to think of something in my own mind. I know it sounds ridiculous now, but the thought of me having to think of a conversation to have with somebody, or somebody saying something to me and I'd have to quickly think in my mind, what am I going to say back to them without feeling like an idiot or without feeling stupid? That was my mindset at the time. I just couldn't deal with it. So the best thing for me was to bring my own lunch in, and, you know, to eat lunch by myself. But, you know, like most people might sit at the desk or sit in the cafeteria and eat their lunch, I took my lunch into the toilet cubicle. I basically sat in the toilet cubicle with my sandwiches and ate my lunch, because I was so petrified to go out there and have a conversation with somebody. And, you know, that was a real dark period of my life, because I just felt so unworthy. I felt like that was the best place for me, because
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How did you feel that time?
That was my safe space, because outside of that, I had a job to do. I had a structure. So I just did whatever I had to do from 9 to 5, and then I went home. But it even impacted me on my way to and from work, because I would get the bus to work. It was in central London, and I was on the bus for about 40 minutes. And again, you know, I wouldn't smile at anyone. I wouldn't talk to anyone. And I was just really like fearful of people judging me about what I would say or how I would look, and all of that sort of stuff. And I'd sit on the bus literally really still, and I wouldn't move. And it's really difficult to explain, but I used to wear these nylon tights, and I don't even wear tights now, because it's like got such a bad memory for me. And it was like, because I've got into my head so much about this lack of confidence. It was like I used to feel things crawling on my legs when I was going to work on the bus or coming home. I know it sounds completely ridiculous. So I wouldn't move on the bus. I'd sit on the bus and I'd sit really, really still. But I got into such a state that I'd actually end up having rashes on my skin, because I was so, I don't even know how to describe it.
Your mind was working, wasn't it? That this is what you're having. So mind just took control of your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And so that lasted for a little while. And so that's my experience, you know, my sort of experience I'd like to relate to. And how I overcame that was, it actually started when I was in college, but I didn't realize it. And it was because somebody had taken an interest in me. There was a teacher. Her name was Anne.
Wow, you remember the name? That's
yeah, I remember her surname, but I'm not going to say it on the video. And she took an interest in me, and she could see something in me, and she was always giving me praise and giving me good feedback, and that felt really good, because I didn't feel like I got that at school, because I was in this inner London school that just didn't really care about the children as such. And so she started, you know, trying to improve my confidence, because she could see that I was shy, but she could see that I had a lot of potential as well. And then when the same job that I was in, that I was eating in the toilets, my boss, the director of HR, because I was working in HR, the director of HR, she also took an interest in me, and she could see something in me that I couldn't see at all. And, you know, when you have your appraisals and what have you, and she was giving me all this great feedback, and I was like, is she talking about me? You know, and it was just really, really strange, because I wasn't used to being open to receiving feedback, because I was so focused on worrying about what other people thought. And so my HR director then said to me one day, she said, I'd like to send you on a course to develop my skills in HR. And I was over the moon. I could not believe it. I said yes, but I didn't know what I said yes to. It was just the fact that somebody was cared enough about me, and that made me feel more worthy of myself, to be able for them to invest, you know, the company money for me to do this course. So I went off and I did this, it was called Certificate in Personal Practice at the time. And it was half a day, you know, working day, and then in the evening. So they sponsored all of that for me. And when I finished that, then they sponsored me to do my HR degree. Wow. So, you know, by that time, my confidence was growing, and I was, you know, I started to get more involved in my role, started to talk to more people, become more social. By this time I was in my my early 20s, and I left there and I started doing more bigger roles, more responsible roles, and you know, my confidence just grew and grew and grew. And becoming more social, then I started, you know, dating, and I eventually met my husband, and we got married, and we decided to have children quite quickly after we got married. And then it was really strange because I was so happy and excited to, you know, to be having a baby and to be blessed to be able to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then well, not as soon, but very soon after I had my first daughter, it was like this big thud. And it was like I was back to being that little girl again. And I felt like after all that hard work I'd worked to build my confidence back up again, for some reason I was feeling, now I'm a mother, I've got this responsible little baby in my arms, and I should be having the time of my life because I'm married, I'm happily married. And why am I feeling like I've got this lack of confidence again? And it was really frustrating because it felt like I was losing my identity, because everyone was starting to refer to me as my daughter's mum or my husband's wife, and I wasn't hearing the word Linda. And I'm thinking, where is Linda gone? And as my daughter got older and I started having more children, and all I was hearing was mum, 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 mum. It's okay. It's like, you know, it's like Linda's just gone, you know. And I was very, very fortunate that, you know, my husband is in the self-development arena, and I was able to surround myself with, you know, positive people and get the self-development that I needed to work on my mindset to get out of that dark zone, because I really did not want to go back there again, although I had started to go back there. And it, you know, it even got to the point at some points where, you know, I'd be out socially with my husband, and we'd be maybe at a party or something, and we'd be standing next to each other, you know, dancing, and then he'd go off and get a drink, and I'd be like, where are you going? Like, you need to stay next to me. I don't want you to go. Like, ridiculous now, I think. You know, now, you know, he looks for me if I'm at a party. He can't find me. I'm there on the
party girl, go and enjoy, is it?
So yeah, so that was kind of, you know, my story in terms of, you know, lack of self-confidence, low self-esteem, being at that really low point, to then, you know, getting over that and feeling like I was worthy, because I was receiving that feedback from other people that I wasn't being open with myself to have. And then, you know, after all of that, then becoming a mum at the, you know, the most happiest time of my life, to then feel that lack of confidence. And so now, well, not even now, but, you know, for however many years now, you know, I'm so conscious as a mum that I don't ever want my children to go through what I went through. So, you know, myself and my husband, we made a very conscious decision that, you know, from very early on, we got them involved in lots of social activities so that they would be around other children, and that they would be able to engage with other people and to build their confidence. You know, my kids' confidence are just like out there. They're just, you know, and I just love them so much, and I'm so proud of them. And I think, you know, that was a big lesson that I learned, because, you know, as a mum or as a parent, you can create a cycle, or you break it, you know, and I wasn't prepared for that cycle to continue with my children. And, you know, my hope and my intention is that, you know, with their level of confidence, that will, you know, cascade to their children and their children, you know, for legacies to come. Because, you know, self-confidence is everything. You know, you can have as much money in the world, as much wealth in the world, but if you're not feeling comfortable within your own skin, and you don't have that confidence, it can have a detrimental impact on your life and on your health.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Linda, for giving us your experience and also how you overcome it. There's a few points I want to kind of raise. One is, you know, how you felt as a teenager, but also getting into job, but also is in the dark zone. You know, even though you are working in a corporate world, but traveling, imagining things that made it worse for you, ending up having some physical condition of rashes and stuff you talked about, so you just think about like how our mind can take over our thoughts. But also, most importantly, you mentioned about two other women who actually came into your life, your boss and your teacher, who actually shown a different Linda and gave you some hope. And that actually, and I think you received it. Because you were receiving it, you accepted and you wanted to move on. Inside, you wanted to move on. You wanted to stay on dark zone. And I think quite a lot of women, we are working with is sometimes people see but don't have the courage to receive it or take it, saying, okay, there is some people offering help, but they are unwilling to take it. And I think that's where people get stuck. I think when there is an opportunity, take it. And if we don't take it, then we lose the opportunity. Then we are behind many years to go back to the position we want to go back to. Yeah, so thank you for sharing. And then the last point you said about, having people around you that helped you, your husband and other people who has positive mentality, positive mindset. I think that's something that sometimes especially sometimes our close friends and family, we have some people very negative, and the vibration affects us because they are very close to us. We find hard to move away from them. But if we set a limit how much time we spend with our close one, they are not positive, and spend more time with positive people, then it gives us the opportunity to move forward, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, and you're so right. And thank you for, picking up on those points, because the mindset is the key, to it. And when you say, about being open to receiving that feedback, and I think what stops us women sometimes from receiving that is the fear of judgment. We don't want other people or other women to feel that we can't cope, that we can't manage it, or we can't balance it, or whether you're a mother or not, just being a woman, we want to just be seen to be in control, and that we've got it going on, we've got it going together. But behind that mask, if we don't accept the help, because we're not super women, we can't do everything. And that was a big thing for me, to be able to accept help. That is
absolutely. I think, I mean, motherhood, another thing you mentioned, like after you had your first child, that you kind of felt you lost because you get, and then you having other children, and then everyone calling mom, and you don't hear the voice Linda. And I think that's something a lot of women, I mean, we are women also, we are made different. We have hormonal issue, the whole lot that we go through, from pregnancy to giving birth and then raising the children. And I think sometimes men's older people don't realize how much we have to go through, but is juggling through, but also realizing that we have brought another person in the world, another breed, our own, that no other, men can't do it, what we can do. And is appreciating ourselves, that we have the power to, to create another person inside us and take them through a process to bring them to the world. And we don't appreciate that because we feel it's natural. It is natural, but it's really important to appreciate it. We are mother, but we also our own name, Linda, Parul, we are our own identity. But remembering and, as you said, accepting the help. And sometimes we don't also go out to get help as well. Sometimes we just stay in our little mindset with little voices in our head, what other people gonna judge. You go your in-laws, I think laws of Asian, not just Asian, but BME, our community, we fear of judgment for our in-laws, mother-in-law, other women, even elder women. We just feel what they're going to think. I'm not a good mother, I'm not a good wife. And the fear of the judgment sometimes put us down as well. And I've seen that quite a lot of women, highly educated in corporate world, but when they become mother or become wife, their whole mentality changes. So I want to ask you, Linda, in terms of, from your experience, if you could share some tips to those women who are lacking self-confidence, whether they are young women, mothers, working or not working, what top tips you could give them to regain their confidence and move towards achieving the goal they want to achieve in life?
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that question. And before I answer it, I think, what you're doing, the work that you're doing, and, doing these interviews is really inspiring. And, it will help a lot of a lot of women to improve their confidence. So congratulations to you for the work that you're doing and,
Thank you,
and
Linda.
that you're serving. So yeah, I think in terms of, improving your confidence, it's such a big issue, and it can be quite a challenge. So in order to do that, the person has to be open. They have, you can have all the tools, resources, strategies as you want, but if you're not open to trying something new, trying something different, working on your mindset, it's not going to work. And so for me, the first thing is about working on your mindset and having that confidence to just say to yourself, I need help. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anyone else outside that's helping you. You can help yourself. So when I say that, what I mean is, like, we're great actors and actresses when we have to, talk about this, something that's, not gone right, something that's detrimental. Oh, that's gone wrong. Oh, this, oh, that. We can dramatize and do all the actions.
Absolutely, yes.
All the, whatever. But how often do we say, oh yeah, this is great, I'm a success, and all that kind of stuff? We don't do that as often as we do the negative, or some people don't, I should say. And so I love affirmations. Affirmations for me is something that I use to work on my mindset. It doesn't need me to spend, hundreds of thousands of pounds on somebody's course or someone's program. And it's a great first step to just acknowledging yourself as being somebody worthy. And there are so many free resources out there that you can get affirmations for. And one of the things I do as a busy mum and a busy entrepreneur is I record my affirmations. I record them in my voice. I tell myself all these great things about myself.
Wow, that's good tips. I'm actually writing it down or talking. I didn't actually record that. Thank you.
Yeah, I record it in my voice, and I put my favorite music in the background. So I like to relax it to like classical music, and I like the sound of water as well.
Very
so on YouTube, there's some great tracks like that. And so I record it, and I'll be walking around the house, because I don't always have the 1 hour, 30 minutes to at the end of my bed and do the whole gratitude process. Sometimes that's not happening when I've got things going on and 1,000 things to do. So I most of the time I do it, but the times when I don't, it's great to have it recorded, and it's like self-talk. So rather than having the self-talk that gives me all the negative things in my head, I've got this constant reminder of this other person called Linda talking to me, the positive Linda talking to me. And I could be doing the washing, I could be cooking the breakfast, or whatever I'm doing, and I'm listening to it all of the time. And it doesn't just have to be part of my morning routine. It could be, say, like, something's just gone wrong in the day, and because stuff happens, and it's just kind of taking me off course a bit. I can just pop my headset back in and then just listen to it, and it just tunes me up again to be able to refocus on what it is that I need to focus on, as opposed to the challenging stuff. So that's a great first step for me. The second one would be to surround yourself with positive people.
Absolutely.
When you've got the naysayers and the people that are always judging you, just, if they're your family, you have to love them, but you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just be very, like you said, just be cautious about the amount of time that you're going to spend with people that aren't going to raise your energy, people that aren't going to inspire and empower you, because they say that you're a reflection of the five people that you spend most of your time with. So if those 5 people are not the sort of person you're aspiring to be, then you need to change your group.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, in this virtual world now, there's so many opportunities to get access to free programs and things that you can do from your own home. You can have like some of the sessions that you run, that's advertised on Eventbrite, about self-confidence. You can do those things for free as a discovery session. So it doesn't have to be, if anyone listening to this, it doesn't have to be something that you throw hundreds of pounds at. You can work on it for yourself. And then when you feel that you're at a level that you're going to be more open to doing other programs or other people's programs and investing in yourself, then you can do that when you feel ready. You know, I've invested a lot of time in things like success resources programs and Tony Robbins programs, and they have done me a world of good. They've just accelerated my growth and my confidence beyond my wildest dreams. And, you know, investing in yourself is so key. But I would say the first step is, you know, take some time out for you and look at what you can do for yourself and take those little steps so that you're confident to then go out and then share with others so that you can help to grow your confidence.
Thank you, Linda. That's quite a number of top tips. I think absolutely starting with mindset is so essential, because we need to keep a focus, and without the mindset, you can't achieve anything. And then taking little steps and, you know, learning, you know, developing self-confidence doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. You can start, as you say, you can start yourself, you know, taking quite a lot of, there's a whole lot of resources out there. You know,
Yeah.
if you start in the beginning, and then you can go and achieve more. But a great point, Linda. Thank you very much, you know, for today and for your time. Yeah, I'll be running, as you said, you know, I'll be running a series of sessions and interview session with a number of people who have, you know, been through a tough time, but now are very successful entrepreneur or career-wise, you know, working on different field, or, you know, very successful mom. So, you know, so I think it's really important to look at, as a woman, we have a variety rule about how we go about day to day, achieve whatever we want to achieve in life. Yeah. So thank you, Linda. And we're ending now, and I'll be back with another session.